you make me do this? Think, Mark!
Duelist Jules back doing another deck tech vid for Umi control, but trying out a few different new things here. So let me know how you like it. I guess a few disclaimers before we go through. I'm clicking through the deck list right now, as you can see, and then I'm just going to be kind of discussing the deck and discussing a few things while I'm showing some gameplay. I pre-recorded a majority of these videos, so I haven't played the game in a bit, so I got demoted all the way down to silver. So this is me running through silver quite easily. So yes, the decks and the players that I'm playing are not top-notch, but this deck is basically a dirty, filthy control floodgate deck, so it's not like we really need to show off any cute or niche interactions. Also, let me know if you like this style of video. Let me know if you like the new background music that I should start playing very soon, and also let me know if you don't like this stuff and you just want me to go back to commentating the games and you can see my lovely face and all of that. But let's talk about Umi control. This is basically revolves around two different cards. That's going to be one, the Ocean Dragon Lord Kairyu-shin. There are various Kairyu-shin cards throughout the game, as well as all the cards that care about Umi. There are a few different variations of Umi, but they're all field spells that care about water monsters, and we're playing a Legendary Ocean, which is always treated as Umi, hand, field, graveyard, and deck. Ocean Dragon Lord Kairyu-shin is inherently not a fair card. It is essentially a floodgate, sort of a goes and match. While we have Umi, aka a Legendary Ocean, on the field, each player can only control one face-up non-water monster. So basically, if our opponent isn't playing a water deck, they get one summon, essentially. Also, during our main phase, we can add an Umi from our deck to our hand, or a Kairyu-shin spell trap, or a Sea Stealth spell trap. So this allows us to continually cycle through all of our utility cards, or get us the Umi if we need it. Now, notably, Ocean Dragon Lord Kairyu-shin is a 5, so we would normally have to tribute over it, but a Legendary Ocean reduces the level of all water monsters in both players' hands and on the field by 1, allowing us to normal summon the Dragon Lord. That's also important for later if we're going into Xyz plays and stuff. So very crucial that we get Umi. To get to Umi, we have a few different ways. We're playing 3 Extrav and 1 Prosperity. We don't really care about the extra deck that much, so this just allows us to zoom through our deck. We also are playing 3 Warrior of Atlantis. Very rarely will we actually normal summon this. Usually we're just going to discard this card to add 1 Legendary Ocean from deck to hand. And finally, of course, a single Terraforming will allow us to get a Legendary Ocean. So that's 7 ways to get to a Legendary Ocean directly, as well as the 4 draw spells. Other cards that care about us having a Legendary Ocean are going to be our 3 Electric Jellyfish. We can utilize this to send an Umi from hand, deck, or grave to special summon a water monster from hand, so this gets around the fact that we don't have really many other cards that will special summon. Now, notably, this does put an Umi in the grave, so that's 1 less if we don't already have it, but presumably we already have it because when our opponent activates a monster effect or spell card while Umi is on the field, we can negate the effect and then boost this up by 600, pushing it from 1400 to a 2KB. So Electric Jellyfish is huge in terms of negating, but also allowing us to get additional bodies onto the field. Notably, if we normal summon Electric Jellyfish, we can then send the Umi to special summon Ocean Dragon Lord from our hand without having to tribute. Playing triple Fish Sonar, this allows us to add a level 7 or lower monster from our deck that mentions Umi or is a water normal monster. All of our monsters mention Umi, and then we are playing 1 water normal monster that I will get to in a second. And then it says, if Umi is on the field, you can special summon a normal water monster from our deck. So we are playing the single Gaga Gigo, which we can special summon if we have Umi on the field, off of Fish Sonar. Notably, this is also a 5, so if we have a Legendary Ocean already out, we can just normal summon this, and it is the biggest possible normal summon that we can do. And it will also be a 4 on the field, which is important once again for Xyz plays later. 1 Rage of Kairyu-shin. This is a card that we can add off the Ocean Dragon Lord. If Umi is on the field, we can target monsters our opponent controls up to the number of water monsters you control whose original levels are 5 or higher. Generally, this is going to be 1 or 2, usually an Ocean Dragon Lord and a Gigo. And we destroy the selected monsters. And if we do, the zones they were in cannot be used until the end of the next turn. Kind of floodgating our opponent out, as well as just excellent removal for this quick play spell that we can add. Got 2 Ice Barrier. Ice Barrier is a trap, does battle shenanigans, but mainly we want to banish this card from our graveyard and send 1 level 5 or higher water monster from our deck to the grave, and then add a water monster from our grave to our hand. This we can send off of Foolish Burial Goods, which we're playing at 3, and then this will allow us to get either an Ocean Dragon Lord Kairyu-shin or an Electric Jellyfish, really whatever we need. This is just another way to search since we are playing so few monsters. Playing 2 here just because I bricked on drawing Ice Barrier in my opening hand enough times that I want to play 2, but if you wanted to optimize, you could probably just play one of these. Lastly, for our 2 remaining Umi control sort of traps, we've got Kairyu-shin's Dark Reef. You can send a face-up Umi control to the grave, special summon up to 2 monsters with different names for your hand and or deck that mention Umi or water normal monsters. Once again, just a great way to get out the pieces that we need. Then it says, if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon any number of level 6 or lower water normal monsters from your hand and or deck. So theoretically, this can get us Jellyfish, Dragon Lord, and Gaga Gigo all in one sweep. This card's great to activate during an opponent's end phase because we can immediately build up a board of a bunch of bodies to either go into Seize plays or to just close out the game. Lastly, Sea Stealth Attack. Absolutely crazy card. When it's activated, we can activate an Umi from our hand or graveyard. So if we send Umi off Electric Jellyfish, we can then special summon the Ocean Dragon Lord from our hand. Ocean Dragon Lord can add Sea Stealth Attack, and then during our opponent's standby phase or draw phase, we can activate Sea Stealth Attack and immediately activate the Umi from the graveyard. In addition, we've got a couple other effects. While Umi is on the field, once per turn, we can banish a water monster we control until the end phase, and then also that turn, face-up spell traps we control cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. So this is a great way to save our Ocean Dragon Lord if our opponent targets it or if they go to battle. And then at the start of the damage step, if our water monster's original level is 5 or higher, once again, that's our Gigo and Ocean Dragon Lord, we can just destroy that monster. So this is a great way to get over huge attack stats or things that can't be destroyed by battle, since a majority of our monsters are going to be relatively low stat. Dogmatic Punishment. Since we don't care about the extra deck, we have all sorts of things in the extra deck that we can send off this 5-headed dragon, double Entis, Fossil Warrior Skull Knight, Wind Pegasus adding Nister. These are all great hits to throw into the bin because they either trigger in the bin or are just big things that we can nuke on our opponent's board. And since we are already floodgating, we might as well play triple There Can Be Only One. I finally caved and crafted 3 of these, putting them in the Subterror deck. If you like that, go check that video out. But each player can only control 1 monster of each type. Notably, we have a Sea Serpent in Ocean Dragon Lord, an Aqua and Electric Jellyfish, and a Reptile in Gigo. That's all we're ever going to have, so we're good, but this absolutely hoses a majority of decks in the format. And it's a great way to get the 1-2 punch, since we already have the Pseudo Gozen match in Ocean Dragon Lord. Pretty much lock them out of the game. A few other notable things in the extra deck. Like I said, we already have the Dogmatic Punishment engine, but we're playing a sizable amount of rank 4s that we can make, since Electric Jellyfish is natively a 4. Warrior of Atlantis, if we really need to, we can normal summon as a 4. And then if we have a Legendary Ocean on the field, our Ocean Dragon Lord and our Gigo both 4s. We're playing Bahamut Shark that can go into Toad, which actually came up in one of these games. We were playing the Stealth Kraken as well as both Stealth Kraken spawns. This is just another way to play control. Now, notably, Stealth Kraken makes all face-up monsters on the field become water, so this does conflict with Ocean Dragon Lord's Floodgate effect, but if we really need to do Stealth Kraken, usually it's because we need to out a monster or we need to get that burn damage from its effect. Lastly, Heartland Draco, number 82, is a 4 as well. While we control a face-up spell, which presumably will have Legendary Ocean, your opponent cannot target this card for attacks, and once per turn you can detach a material to make this attack directly. It attacks for 2,000. One of the biggest pitfalls of this deck is that since the majority of our monsters are low-statted and we're playing a Floodgatey sort of deck, we take a bit to close the game, so this is a great way to close the game out. Finally, a Zeus just in case, and Nightmare Phoenix Unicorn and Access Code Talker, because theoretically we could make them if we're playing control hard enough or we need an out. That's pretty much the deck. Like I said, I use this to grind up through silver quite easily. I'm showing a majority of my games there, at least the ones that were not against bots. That being said, I don't think you could take this all the way to diamond. I definitely think you could continue to smack people around in gold, but I think once you start getting to platinum, this deck starts to fall a little short. It really is Ocean Dragon Lord and Umi or bust, which is why we're playing so many ways to get to them, but you definitely can brick in this, and there are a few awkward hands where you're able to get to one or not the other. If you can get to Ocean Dragon Lord but you don't have Umi, it's really rough because you can't even normal summon it. You have to tribute summon. Luckily, this deck can win, sometimes just on the back of a single Floodgate, either in the There Can Be Only One or the Ocean Dragon Lord, but it definitely is not the most versatile and the most explosive as something like a Branded Despia or a Sword. Also, deck is fairly budget. You really only need 3 Ultras in the Ocean Dragon Lords. You definitely don't need the There Can Be Only Ones. And you definitely don't need the extra deck package for Dogmatic Punishment. You certainly could play other Floodgates as well as just other generic good cards or extenders if you wanted to make use of the extra deck a bit more. There's a great rank 4 engine in the water attribute with all of the shark cards. While we're here, might as well cover some of the other news just because we got to get through all these games and I'm not going to commentate them. There was a ban list dropped just a day or two ago. Very small ban list, but I like that we're updating things at a continual rate. So let's just go over it real quick. Magical Meltdown to 3. Sure, Invoked Enjoyers, you know, have your fun. Normal Summon Alistair is something that you can do, but I don't think it's very powerful, so I think Magical Meltdown can easily come to 3. Semi-limiting cards, Gen X Alley Birdman, yeah, 100%. Don't know why this has been limited for so long. It was not powerful for about a decade. This will also allow decks to just you know, get a few reuses on their summon triggers and once per turns. Also, this will be interesting to see if this goes into any machine-specific decks like Orchist, which also got Galatea the Orchist Automaton semi-limited up from 1. I know this is like sort of a scary card, but frankly, Orchist just like doesn't really do anything. We do have 2 Harp, so this could get a little dangerous, but I just think that this can't compete with something like a Branded Despia or a Sword Soul. So we'll see. I've wanted to play Orchist, but it just hasn't been good enough. So if we can get a boost, I will definitely try and learn the deck and make a video for it. Now here's one, Anti-Spell Fragments. This is a card that was very prominent in the TCG for a while, especially with Mystic Mind format, but this is going to 2. I like the fact that we're slowly semi-limiting a majority of these floodgates. This one has not seen play really at all, but I'm guessing that since Konami just dropped the new selection pack that has all the Pendulum stuff, they want to make sure that those cards at least have a chance to see play, even though I don't really think they're seeing play. So Anti-Spell to 2, certainly fine. All right, let's talk about the real big hit though. Forbidden, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds going from 3 to 0. Rip Fluanderies. Frankly, I think this is actually huge. I don't think Flu is that viable of a deck anymore, at least to get to Diamond. Obviously, it's powerful, like Resource Loot is very powerful, and we have Pseudo Floodgates, but the deck still bricks despite the consistency of Advent. And Barrier Statue was kind of their one way to really lock people out and get those wins. Generally, you're not low TKing with Flu, so being able to Barrier Statue and at least make people go to their battle phase and get rid of it, or utilize resources to get rid of it, is kind of how you do it. I know that people hate Flu, but I'm just saying that this is not a death knell for the deck, but certainly is going to put it on a back burner for a while. That being said, I do appreciate that we're getting rid of Floodgates, but for someone who has invested in the entire Flu deck and plays it to get wins, because it was powerful, this is certainly a hit for sure. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, of course, and enjoy the rest of the vid. Jules out.